Hey everybody, welcome to the waiting room. I'm Beth Azor, and guess what I am? The canvassing queen. I know that's hokey, right? But let me tell you, I get a lot of attention when I go canvassing and I'm wearing this. People ask me, what does that mean? And then I get to tell them what I do, for what we all do for a living, which is fill vacancies, right? So Stacy asked me to do a short video to give you guys something to learn while you're waiting in the waiting room for the retailer to pop in on your next meeting. So I said, of course, I'm happy to help as long as I can talk about my favorite subject, which is prospecting, right? Because I'm the canvassing queen. So do you see my beautiful crown in my office? That's because I'm the canvassing queen. So I have three things I want to talk to you about today as far as prospecting post-COVID. So first and foremost, let's talk about my favorite, which is canvassing. So South Florida opened up on May 18th, and on June 6th, I ventured out with my new intern, Chloe, and we went and hit 9 retailers, mom and pop retailers in the South Florida market. I have to be honest with you, I was very nervous. I wasn't sure what the reception would be. And normally when I would canvass, I would go in and say, hi, I own 6 shopping centers in the area. What are your expansion plans? And I knew that that was probably not the right message. I had learned that in '09 that that wasn't the right message as well. So this time we walked in, we had our masks on, and I also have other masks. You know, I think masks is the new form of fast fashion. So I have this mask, which is great for the 4th of July week. And then, of course, for those of you who know me well, I have a Florida State Seminoles mask. So if I think that like I walked into my tenant Caneswear with the Florida State Seminole mask, that was very funny. So I think that we could really play up the mask thing when canvassing. So we walk in with our masks, and I said, hi, I own shopping centers in the area. What are your thoughts about your location after this craziness? Do you need more space? Are you looking for less space? Or are you looking for different space? And every one of the 9 people we walked in, everyone smiled. Everyone was very welcoming. They were happy to see people. They had just been shut down for 2 months. And we got a really, really good reception. So people talked to us and we had dialogue. And frankly, you know, in 35 years of canvassing, definitely over 10,000 hours, I've never done a deal on the first day of canvassing. My goal is to just get dialogue, meet the people, hopefully get the name of the decision maker, but I get that not by asking. So I never walk in and say, hi, is the owner here? Because that really ticks off the owner if he's the owner. So how many times have you walked in and said, hi, is the owner here? And it is the owner, and he's thinking, and he says, no, he's not here, even though he's the owner. That's happened to me early on in my career. And he's thinking, why doesn't this person think I'm the owner? You know, and he's immediately feeling disrespected. And if it's the gatekeeper and you walk in and you say, hi, is the owner here? They think, well, screw you. You know, why don't you think I'm the owner? It's a lose-lose question. Now, I know you're saying, well, Beth, we've always been told we need to get to this decision maker. I know, but you will get to the decision maker faster if you respect the person you're speaking to. I promise. So we walked in and we said, hey, after this craziness, what's the situation? Are you looking for more space, less space, different space? And everyone spoke to us. We had a great day. We've gone 2 times since. The last time we went, I think we hit 17 mom and pops or small business entrepreneurs, and everyone is very open to speaking to us. We have not gone into restaurants. The reason we haven't gone into restaurants yet is they're very, very busy down here in South Florida. We've yet to find one that isn't on fire. So we don't want to interrupt them. What we're doing with restaurants mostly is what I'm going to talk about next, which is Facebook and Instagram prospecting. So and this really helped in COVID, during COVID, after about week 2, we jumped on the bandwagon of Facebook prospecting. Why does Facebook prospecting work? And up until my third tip I'm going to share with you today, I would tell you that Facebook prospecting is the best, most significant return on investment of your time that I've ever seen in 35 years. Why does it work? Well, the number one reason it works is because you're bypassing the gatekeeper. When you send a DM or a direct message on either Facebook or Instagram to the small business, 95% of the time you're getting directly to the owner of the business. So that in and of itself is a phenomenal thing, right? So that's number one. Number two, it's a supply and demand thing. When that business owner gets back to his home after a long day in his shop or store, he, like the rest of us, have hundreds of emails waiting for him. Or he checks his Facebook and sees this little blue circle in the top right-hand corner with a 1 in it. He goes, oh, let me see who sent me a message on Facebook. So it's a supply and demand thing. The third reason it works is there's this guy, you might have heard of him, Mark Zuckerberg. Well, when a customer, which is what we are when we're DMing them on their business page, when a customer sends a direct message to the business owner gets a tag by Mark Zuckerberg, by Facebook, saying, hey, business owner, you have a direct message from a customer. Thank you, Mark. So, and basically he's sending a message, if you want your algorithms to stay high, business owner, you should be responding to your customers. So in one sitting, when you do Facebook prospecting, you can send about 10 to 12 DMs out before Facebook figures out, they're trying to sell something, and they stop you. And they don't ban you, you don't go into Facebook jail, they just say you've hit your limit for the moment. During COVID, I played around with that a lot because I used to teach, you can only do 10 or 12 a day. Well, I had a lot of time on my hands, so I played around with it, and I found out that I was able to get up to 40 a day in 4 different segments. So I would do 10 or 12 in the morning, like around 8. I could do another around 10, 11. I could do another one around 2 or 3. And then I always kind of did some at night watching Netflix. So whether, I'm watching The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, and I'm sending 10 DMs out to businesses. So I have gotten up to about 40 a day, but check out these odds. At each sitting, if you do 10 to 12, you literally get back 3 to 4 responses within 24 hours. Now, those of you that canvass know, we never get 3 to 4 responses out of 10 visits canvassing. Now, of the 3 to 4, 90% of them, all but 1 is a no thank you. But usually 1 out of about 10 or 12 is where are your locations? And it's important, so a couple housekeeping things about Facebook prospecting. You have to Facebook prospect from your personal page. You cannot DM anyone from a business page. So if you have some privacy issues, or you don't want anyone to see have the public or people that you are direct messaging and prospecting to your personal Facebook page, what I've had interns do with me is they come in, and I teach them about Facebook prospecting, and they create their own their own personal new Facebook page, and they populate it with pictures of them standing in front of my shopping center. So they don't have all of their college, drinking photos there. So, and there's maybe some videos of us canvassing, so if you have some concerns where you don't want to send direct messages from your personal page, just create a new Facebook personal page, but make sure that you populate it with things to show that if they check you out, it looks like you're in real estate. Because if they just check on you and there's no pictures, they're going to think that you're spamming them, and they might turn you into Facebook. So populate it with, who you work for, it's a shopping center company, and then maybe some pictures in front of, your shopping centers, or maybe a tour of a vacancy is always good. So do that. And then, so sending it from your personal page to their business page. And again, if you send out 40, you will usually get back 3 or 4 out of every 10, and 1 that is a positive. Now, when you send the DM, this is very important. It must be short and sweet. It cannot include links. And definitely do not cut and paste. So if you think, so usually my message is, I own 6 shopping centers in the Fort Lauderdale area. Are you thinking about opening new locations in 2021? Or, after this craziness, will you be looking for locations? I own 6 shopping centers. So, and every time I do it, I change a word or here, a word or two. I have a center that I have a paint store, a kitchen and bath store, and a blinds and drapery store. So I am targeting home improvement tenants, prospects. So I open with, like, let's say if I'm trying to get a carpet store, my Facebook prospect sentence will be, I have a shopping center with lighting store, kitchen and design, and blinds and drapery. I'm looking for a carpet store. We're located in Sunrise, Florida. Do you have any interest? Short and sweet. If you put a long book, what I tell everyone is when you're writing prospecting pitches, for a lack of a better word, think that the person is reading this at a stoplight, and you've got a minute before the light turns green, and they're going to read it that fast, and you've got to get their attention. So keep it short and sweet, no links, definitely no links, and try it. It works. And everything I just said is the same thing on Instagram. Instagram, I find, is for hip, cool restaurants, chef-driven concepts, very cool ice cream, cookie concepts. If you're looking for physical therapy, maybe there's some barber shops on Instagram, so you can play around with it. In our office, I kind of focus on Facebook, and when canvassing with Kara, some of you know Kara, when she was with me, she focused on Instagram. So I hope you guys try that. It's been, I've done probably 7 deals from Facebook up until the next thing I'm going to tell you about. I keep teasing you about that. It was by far the thing that got the best results until COVID and the next thing. So I am doing a lot of walking during COVID, and I listen to this guru who I love, Gary Vaynerchuk. And Gary's talking about how, there's no sports on, Hollywood shut down, so no new programming. Everyone's going to be watching reruns of Friends. He goes, now is the time. I've been telling you all forever that you all need to be, the Barbara Walters of your city. Now is the time to go be interviewers of businesses in your towns. And I'm thinking, I've heard this from him 10 times, but it was too monumental. It was too overwhelming to think about trying to fit that into my schedule. Well, now I'm locked down, shelter in place, and I'm realizing that my tenants and other small businesses in my community would be loving the exposure of this idea. So I hear this on a Thursday. I call one of my tenants, which is Caneswear. So they sell University of Miami sports apparel. I call him up and I said, hey, on Saturday, I want to do this thing called Small Business Saturday Series, and I want to interview on Facebook Live. And I'm like, we'll put it out to my audience. You'll put it out to your audience. We'll talk about only positive things. Like, I didn't want to get into the whole negativity of COVID. I said, let's talk about, were you an entrepreneur when you were growing up? Or how did you pick this location? Or, what's your best-selling item? All fun things. So they were all for it. Yeah, let's do it. And don't worry about making sure all your I's are dotted, or all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed, because I'm telling you, 15 minutes before we went live, we realized we couldn't go on Facebook Live, that there wasn't a capacity for me to interview them live on Facebook. So we switched over to Instagram. I'm telling you, 15, 20 minutes before, when we had advertised for, all day Friday, watch us on live, Facebook Live, tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we started posting, we're over at Instagram, join us over there. So it was a huge success. We had hundreds of people that watched it. They loved it. They got exposure. They're sitting at home. I'm at home, they're at home, and we're on this Instagram where my face is over their face, and it was just a lot of fun. It ended up going about 45 minutes, so much longer than I thought. So I just loved it, and they loved it. I thought, I need to do more of this. So I did I think the next one was Field of Flowers, which is a florist. I did batch cookies. I ended up doing Yo Nuts ice cream and donuts. I did a nail salon. I did my two hair salons. So I did my tenants and I did other prospects in the community. So I put on Facebook, I said, hey, I'm doing this internet series, interviewing small businesses. Do you have anyone that you think I should interview or that you would be interested in? And this one woman I know, Jessica, said, I know this window and blinds company, and they would love to do it. They're a small business in Davie, where my shopping centers are, 3 of them, and they would love to do it. And I said, sure, absolutely. And they had been in business for 40 years. I had remembered canvassing them multiple times, but always the dad said, yeah, no, we're good. We've been here for 40 years. So, okay. But I was happy to help my friend Jessica. It turns out that it was her husband's dad's business, and her husband's working in the business. So I'm thinking going into it, I've interviewed florists and canesware and cookies and ice cream and nail salons, and I'm thinking blinds and drapery. What? This could be the most boring interview ever, but we're gonna have fun with that. So Andrew gets on the Instagram, and I start chatting with him, and I'm like, so did you always want to follow in your dad's footsteps and be the blinds and drapery guy? And he's like, no, actually I was a sports reporter for the Miami Herald, which I love sports, so thank goodness we went on this whole tangent about sports. But we ended up getting back to the business and the blinds and drapery, and I learned, it was very fascinating because I had learned that they were open the whole time during COVID because they were considered a necessity business because of security. Blinds and drapery, and it was considered security. People were sheltering in place, and the government didn't want, if people felt insecure about people seeing inside of their windows. So they were very busy, and I'm sure you all know that the whole home improvement thing has been going, gangbusters since COVID. People have been reinvesting in their homes, right? So it was a great interview, a lot more fun than I expected. And we finished the interview, no problem, and I go do a few more interviews. And then I circle back because I'm realizing I've got this this lighting store and this kitchen and design store. So I reach back out to Andrew and I say, Andrew, have you ever considered opening in, Sunrise? It's 20 minutes away, and I've got this lighting store and kitchen and bath. I'm happy to make a creative pop-up deal for you to try it out. I know your dad's been in the same location for 40 years, but now you're, the next generation. Have you ever thought about expanding into another area? I'd love to try to make a deal for you that gives you an opportunity to try it out. And he said, yeah. And we signed a lease. 13 interviews in, I signed a lease. I have now finished, I think this week was my 19th interview, and I am negotiating with 2 other businesses that I have interviewed. 2 other businesses. Let's say I just do one of them. Let's say I just do one more lease. That would make 2 leases out of 19 meetings. I know you prospectors out there, know that is unbelievable, even better than Facebook. So why does it work? Well, we're adding value, right? We are adding value to retailers and giving them exposure to my community. They get to use the video, and I'm telling you, literally, guys, so now that COVID's over and I'm now going into their spaces. Okay, so now I'm going to, yesterday we were at a chef class catering place inside their space. I've been in a restaurant, I've been in a chocolate store, and my interns are using my cell phone and they are just filming me in doing the interview. It's not high tech whatsoever, very low tech, and we're plopping it on social. And we are putting it on my YouTube channel. So I have a YouTube channel, 150 videos on, how to lease space, all kinds of leasing free videos. So go check those out if you want. And I now have another like page as part of the YouTube video series, and it's called Small Business Series. I took this Saturday out because I stopped doing them on Saturdays, and now I'm just doing them, anytime I can get them. Like I had an axe throwing guy. We had a meeting for an axe throwing guy, and I'm gonna go, think about that, drinking beer and throwing axes. But I'm gonna do a video with the axe throwing company guy. So they feel like I'm not in there talking about my shopping centers whatsoever. I'm just telling them I own 6 shopping centers and that I'm a big proponent of small business, and I want them to get as much traffic as possible. They've been closed for 2 months, and anything I can do by posting it on YouTube, by putting it out on social, by giving it to them for them to put it out on social. And the questions are just a bunch of fun questions. The only thing I ask about COVID is, what was one takeaway that you got from this whole experience? And a lot of them give some really great advice. So, but who knew interviewing? But what it does is it puts you, first of all, you're immediately connected with the owner of the business, right? Immediately. So now it's a one-on-one. You're absolutely not going through any gatekeeper. And how I pitch it is, it was easy. I always recommend start with a tenant that you have a relationship with, or start with a business you frequent. So I have Eddie Gonzalez, who's my friend out in Phoenix, Arizona, and he's like, I'm nervous. Like, I don't own shopping centers. I don't have tenants to start with. I said, start with a business you frequent. Do you go to a brewery, or do you go to an ice cream store that the owner knows who you are? Start with that one and get 1 or 2 under your belt, because it's a lot easier when you can send to the prospective interviewee, here is a clip or 2 of other past interviews. And also what I send is a list of my questions. So I will say, here are 13 questions that I may ask you. We may get off on tangents, but there is no gotcha questions. I'm not looking for any negativity. And I asked, like, what did you, when you were 8, were you an entrepreneur? Did you sell lemonade? Did you sell baseball cards, trade them? What did you always want to open the ice cream store? Or how did you get into the ice cream business? So it's all fun questions. They love talking about themselves. You've made a friend after this, and then it's easy to then, the 2 other deals that I'm working on right now, one is represented by a broker, and the brokers reached out and said, I know that, and prior to the interview, we had been talking to this person, but this kind of solidified it because now the owners had a relationship with me. And then the other one is franchising, and said, I need to do, I want to do some other locations. Where are your shopping centers? So, and targeting interviews for prospects is a wonderful thing too. So doing a combination of people you want to do business with eventually, and businesses in the market. Like, I've done a lot of interviews with businesses, small businesses in my community that I know the community loves and would love to see kind of, open the kimono. Like, how do they come up with the name? What the entrepreneurs were like growing up, things like that. So, the small business interviews, and I have a group that we've been meeting with in COVID. We did 10 weeks in a row, and now we've gone monthly. It's a group called the Freshman Forum. And the Freshman Forum, so if any of you are watching this are 5 years or less in the business, feel free to join us. You go to azoracademy.com, look up Freshman Forum. It'll give you the next date, whenever the date is in July that we're going to meet. I think it's the 3rd Friday of every month, and it's at 4 o'clock for an hour. So we've been helping, my co-leader on the Freshman Forum is a gentleman by the name of Aaron Zucker. He's 31, I'm 59. I thought I needed someone closer to these kids' ages. So we co-lead this group, and I think 9 of the Freshman Forum have gone and done the Small Business Series. 9 of them. And they have all reported similar successes like I have. Some have gotten tenant rep accounts from it. Some have gotten shown space to people with it. So I think that it's huge. I think that everyone watching can do it. Very easy with the iPhone. And we all know retailers that we want to do business with, mom and pops. You know, for the next year, based on the information I'm getting, but I'm really excited to hear today on Retail Live what these national retailers are going to be telling us. But up until from the last 3 months, the national retailers have been telling us that their companies aren't allowing them to travel. And one of my questions for all these retailers today is, if your companies won't let you travel by air and you aren't in South Florida where you can get to my sites by car, then how are we going to get my sites approved? Because if we can't get my sites approved, I'm not going to do a deal with a national tenant for a while. And I've kind of counted out the time frame, and I'm thinking, okay, let's say they can start traveling in January and they get the site approved by February or March. Then we go do the lease. That takes 3 months. We're now June or July. Then they have to get a permit. That's another 4 months. And then they have to construct. So I'm thinking that any national deal I do is an opening in spring of 2022. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to wait around for spring of 2022 to do deals. So I'm going to make a big push and a big focus on leasing to multi-location mom and pop retailers, even if I have to do some pop-ups to kind of create the momentum and plug the dam while I'm waiting for the nationals to come back in full force. So in summary, canvassing, I'm still doing it because one-to-one in their business, in their store, and doing 20 or 30 in the day. My old policy was 3 hours or 30 business cards, whichever comes first. So I'm still a believer in that. I have 2 interns this summer. We will be canvassing at a minimum of 1 afternoon a week, even in this 97-degree heat. But so canvassing, I'm still a proponent. We can absolutely go out there, and I found people to be very receptive as long as we're addressing the elephant in the room, which is this craziness. Number 2, Facebook prospecting. And if any of you aren't doing it, this sounds interesting. Definitely go to Azor Academy, because I did a live Facebook webinar where I actually showed you how to do it step by step by step. So go check out that free video on Azor Academy on Facebook prospecting. And then last, my new favorite, small business series. Be the Barbara Walters in your community. If you don't know who Barbara Walters is, look her up. So that's prospecting in a post-COVID world. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got out of this waiting room way before I finished. But if you're still here, maybe you caught me on the tail end, and watch it again in your next waiting room. So I hope you're enjoying Retail Live virtual. I know I am. I'm in someone else's waiting room. I hope I'm not watching myself. But I hope we're getting lots of information. Congratulations to Stacy Mooney. What a phenomenal thing she's done for all of us today. I know I'm sure I'm enjoying it. So thanks, and if you guys ever need me, find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all over social, or just call me. I'm always available for my rock stars. Take care. Bye-bye.